Great. Thank you, everybody. There is no report out of closed session. We will now move to Section 3 of the agenda. Do any trustees wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion or separate vote? All right, hearing none. Any board comment? Hearing none. Any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Move. Second.
Thank you very much, ladies. Liaison Lucas, may we have the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry.
Aye.
3 approved, 0 opposed, motion passes.
Thank you very much, Liaison Lucas. We are moving to the action agenda. Item 4.1 is the amendment to the employment agreement for the President and Chief Executive Officer. Here, the parties are proposing to extend the current contract without any amendments for an additional month. Is there any board discussion? Hearing none, is there any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Liaison Lucas. I'll take a motion and a second, please.
Move. Second.
We don't have too many options for those roles. Liaison Lucas, may I have the roll, please?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry.
Aye.
3 approved, 0 opposed, motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you, Liaison Lucas. Item 4.2 is acceptance of College Futures Foundation funding. I will pass that one to our VP of Sustainable Growth and District Development, Marissa Bold.
Hello, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry, and members of the board.
Marissa, can you put your microphone closer to you, please? Thank you.
Done. I'm Marissa Bold. As President Aguinaldo said, Calbright's Vice President of Strategic Growth and District Development. I'm excited to be here today to share that Calbright has been awarded a grant from the College Futures Foundation focused on work-based learning models to help bridge the gap between education and employment. With a particular focus on our population of adult learners. I'm here today to seek approval from the board to accept these funds, and we'll share an overview in the coming slides of how these funds will be directed. We're excited about the specific details of the grant, and especially, as Ajita noted in her remarks, how it reflects Calbright and College Futures Foundation collaborating to pilot innovative and emerging models, reimagine education, and prioritize approaches that center our focused population and increase economic and social mobility for adult learners statewide. We're also excited that this work directly benefits Calbright students, sister colleges, and the field. It's really an exciting opportunity for Calbright to contribute to the broader effort to reimagine the post-secondary ecosystem, and we hope this will be a catalyst for future investment and opportunity. Next slide, please. Diving into some of the specific details of the grant, Calbright has been awarded $400,000 from College Futures Foundation to test how multiple levers for work-based learning can better translate educational attainment into economic mobility for working adult learners. This investment affirms the strength of Calbright's model, our role as an R&D engine, the capabilities we've built to design, test, and scale innovative approaches that improve outcomes for our students and adult learners across California. Over the next 12 months, we'll test different approaches to work-based learning in service of addressing the persistent gap between education and employment for adult learners. By leveraging Calbright's statewide reach, robust data infrastructure, and cross-sector partnerships, we'll generate evidence grounded in both student and employer experiences that can be codified into actionable insights. Not only will this benefit Calbright learners, but will also be serving as a hub and partnering with sister colleges to test these approaches across contexts and geographies and make opportunities more widely accessible across the state. Our goal is to generate evidence and actionable insights that will catalyze impact for adult learners, drive economic mobility, and contribute to the evolution of post-secondary learning models. Next slide, please. We know that paid work-based learning experiences with employers accelerate program completion and lead to greater economic and social mobility. Yet for so many adult learners who are often working multiple jobs, maybe parents, caregivers, these types of opportunities are inaccessible. A report from Burning Glass showed that learners who engage in experiential learning are up to 17 times more likely to earn promotions and see an average wage gain of $5,000. Yet just 6% of Californians have participated in a paid internship, including only 2% of adult learners over the age of 30. We also know that many learners struggle to translate their education and experiences into high-quality jobs. One way to address this is to support learners through career coaching and placement, which has been shown to significantly increase the proportion of learners who are able to successfully turn their credentials into a high-quality job. With this funding, we aim to make these kinds of opportunities more accessible to adult learners and generate insights that will contribute to the evidence base California needs to establish tested, sustainable, scalable strategies for connecting adult learners to economic opportunity. Diving into the specifics of the grant that you see here a bit, first, we're developing the capacity to serve as a hub for paid micro-internship opportunities for students at Calbright and our sister colleges. This work builds on the success of our Career Bridge pilot with Ripen, which we've shared previously with the board, and the investment that our Calbright board supported in piloting that work. This next phase will provide an additional 75 paid micro-internships across Calbright and at least 2 sister colleges. By engaging across institutions, urban, rural contexts, and creating a shared model that can be brought to scale across California, we're looking ahead to scale and increased access to these opportunities. The micro-internships are paid, project-based experiences co-designed with employers. And by removing many of the access barriers adult learners face, these internships let our learners apply their skills in authentic work settings while demonstrating competencies that resonate with employers and building their professional networks. Second, building on our board-approved investment in the Community Health Worker, or CHW program, this grant will support an additional 75 CHW students, possibly more, in receiving career coaching and job placement services in partnership with SEIU UHW and Allied Up. We'll test how structured career coaching and placement support can help our learners translate their education, skills, and learning experiences into high-quality jobs. And finally, research and evaluation is embedded throughout the grant. That is probably not a surprise to anyone here, and is really valued by our partners at College Futures Foundation. And by leveraging Calbright's R&D capacity and our collaboration with partners, we'll generate actionable evidence on learner participation, retention, completion, job readiness. We'll also identify what's needed to design and deliver these experiences across contexts and geographies and inform future scale. Next slide, please. The performance metrics for the grant, we don't have to go into the nitty-gritty here, but what you'll see is that they reflect our core priorities and focus at Calbright: innovating to increase access and minimizing barriers in service of outcomes for learners, instrumenting efforts to generate evidence that can be applied across institutions and contexts, and helping change the conditions on the ground to support sustainability and scale. Importantly, this initiative will generate impact well beyond the initial learners and institutions it serves, producing tested models, operational infrastructure, and lessons learned that institutions and policymakers can act on to accelerate impact for Californians more broadly. Next slide, please. This is a high-level breakdown of the budget on how the funds will be directed to support the 3 core elements of the project. Very happy to answer any detailed questions as helpful, but we're excited that the funds will support learners directly through stipends and delivery of coaching and placement support, while also allowing us to invest in the resources needed to codify and share learnings in service of the field. So that's especially just really meaningful to us. This significantly directly benefits our learners while also building the capacity for future sustainability and scale. Next slide, please. As we always do, this is grounded in the insights of our learners and the experiences they've had through the process. So I wanted to pause here for a moment to illustrate how this grant builds on the groundwork laid by our early pilots and investments and I just want to express so much appreciation to the board and to all of the incredible students, faculty, and staff who've been part of these efforts. Like so much of what we do, this proposal was directly informed by our learners at Calbright, and we wanted to share from their perspectives how much these opportunities matter. Here you'll see quotes from Calbright students who participated in early iterations of Career Bridge. The students highlighted how paid micro-internships helped them strengthen their confidence in their skills, develop clarity on their career goals, helped them articulate and translate their skills into the workplace, and provided practical work experience that they can leverage to get better jobs with higher wages. These funds from College Futures Foundation allow us to expand this work at a broader scale and explore multiple levers for bridging education and employment in ways that work well for adult learners and create greater economic mobility for Californians. Next slide, please. This is the last one. We have looked at this arc together before, and this grant is another illustrative example of how we do our work at Calbright and the ways innovative approaches benefit our focus population of learners and more broadly. Through this project, we'll have the opportunity to continue to innovate, learn, and adapt while simultaneously building and strengthening collaboration with partners and sister colleges, sharing lessons learned with the field, and paving the way to impact at scale. We're excited to be part of leading the way with our partners, researchers, funders, and fellow grantees to reimagine what's possible for post-secondary education. We're so appreciative of the board's continued support, excited about this extension and amplification of our work, and look forward to leveraging this investment to create greater opportunity. I welcome all thoughts and questions to inform consideration and acceptance of the grant funds and just express incredible appreciation.
Any questions on the board on acceptance of grant funds? Member Haynes.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to be sober, but I'm really excited, okay? So this is really trying to, attempting to look at what we've done so far. Ripon was my very first experience with sort of a vendor out there that was actually doing this work. The more traditional has been through labor unions and then the state's apprenticeship programs, and they have been focused in on more of the traditional blue collar workers in certain kinds of industries, very narrowed kind of industries, and Calbright has sort of expanded what can be done relative to apprenticeship. So. And I want to frame it that way. Does this legitimize for Calbright and for others who are looking at Calbright a level of legitimacy of how important apprenticeships are? So tell me, there's a part of it that I want to make. You're doing the right thing, but there's a piece of it. It says at scale. So do we use whatever ends up being wonderful news and say, this is how we absolutely have, this is what we have to do, and if you're looking to do what we're doing, this piece is so very important.
I'm happy to take a start, and then if you want to add to that. So I think this is part of a continuum of work-based learning experiences from 2 to 6 week long paid micro internships all the way through to registered apprenticeship, right? And there are so many different ways to get those kinds of experiences. And I think one of the things we're excited about is looking at multiple levers within that. So I would say that I don't think there's, just like we say with all, I don't think there's a single answer that it says we have to do it this way or that way, but we're trying to generate the evidence to say what are the conditions that make it possible for adult learners to participate. They're paid, not unpaid.
Yes.
They're asynchronous. They're, connected to employers, so that they're connected to the skills. They give them an opportunity to demonstrate the skills and competencies they learned in ways that are recognizable by employers. So what are those conditions? What makes that a meaningful experience, and what makes that an accessible and possible experience? And our hope is that there are many different ways to do that. And that there's a trajectory. So we are also partnering on apprenticeship opportunities, which is complementary to this, and trying to generate and learn what moves the needle the most and what's predictive potentially of those longer term outcomes that take a little longer to see for our students in the workforce. Ajita?
Yeah, I love all of that, and the couple things I'll add to it is, this is actually why the measurement piece is important, because it's helping us track what is actually meaningful under the hood of those experiences. Mostly, we often say, like, this is the way that XYZ program or pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship is structured, which is great. That is a model for doing it. But what we're kind of trying to tease out here is a little bit more understanding of what is it specific about the underlying experience that actually drives the value for two people, drives the value from the perspective of the learner. And we have to be able to continue to gather better and more substantive data on the value to the employer. So this is a way for us to think about how do we, because we can't perfectly isolate the conditions, and we don't want to optimize for a single model and just assume that that model is going to be sufficient to address the way that the labor market considerations are changing. And so both the engagement of partners on this is because all of us are trying to figure out a little bit of the piece of these things. We're looking at it from a learner persistence perspective, a learner, what it builds in terms of value for the learner, which is a lot of the things we talked about, even just in terms of encouraging them to continue their education or some of those things like persistence strategies, but also maybe even more specifically, like the quote I loved the most was the student who talked about the confidence that it brought to their ability to engage in this type of work that was unfamiliar to them before. And so this is so much more than just the way we've traditionally kind of measured outcomes. It is much more nuanced to help us both
It's
refine
fine-tuning.
the opportunity and also understand, like, are we in this continuum, as Marissa described it, of work-based learning exposure and opportunities, what are the most high-value opportunities for folks? Because then we continue to concentrate on growing those types of experiences. And some of them are industry-specific, right? Some of them will be different based on industry areas. So I think what you'll start to see is, even in the way we do pilot, we're not just sort of looking at the aggregate level of the current program itself. We're looking at the subcomponent parts, because that helps us understand how to lift those up across multiple points on the student experience.
So I think that's really, really important, coming out of an industry, which was the airline industry, where there were, and still are, traditional apprenticeships. That fine tuning, we used to bring in, high school students or folks, and then give them really shitty ass, jobs that didn't even align with what they were supposed to be doing. And this is really articulating and documenting the necessary components that they grow in. And the money piece is, for many students, the money piece is the thing that they can't do without.
Yeah.
Because these, again, are adult learners and they're working, and so.
And I will say this is also really instructive to what we count or pay for on the workforce development side of the house as
Yes.
well. So I think, like, when we think about this, what optimizes conditions for the learners to access the opportunity and to move forward, these learnings should be informing and driving how we think about policy evolution relative to what is happening in the workforce development programs, whether they're state funded, federally funded, whatever the case may be. So my excitement about the other layer, which we don't often talk about, is the relationship between practice and its ability to influence policy change. And I think this is a space where it's particularly critical,
Yeah.
because we have to have new models that are driven not just towards alignment with industry, but we have to understand what kind of actually conditions that, and then on the basis of that, how should we be reevaluating the policies and the structures that we have in place? Because yes, this should be funded, but should it always be funded by the college? That's a question, right? Should each college have to say, in order to, because it's a scale inhibiting factor, right? For any college in the system to want to move in this direction, they won't be able to scale it until and unless we have an understanding that this is what works, and this is actually what public investment should be driven towards. And that's an important unlock that we are going to have to increasingly get to as public sector institutions. Can't do it each on our own, and so we're taking a piece of this, and that's part of the importance of not just the work that we're doing, but how it connects with what folks across the system are also trying to figure out, especially those who are placing a primary emphasis and focus around around workforce education. And so, like, just a quick shout out, you remember a couple meetings ago, we built a connective tissue relationship with North Orange County.
Yes.
This is a space, again, where there's a lot of opportunity, and you'll see a lot more places in which that work can be deepened, because we're kind of figuring out a common set of challenges, and there's aspects of it that both institutions will be able to engage in.
Well, there are a few California community colleges where they do understand that. North Orange is one of those. The bigger challenge is for many of our colleges, even when faculty in this area, and I've been saying all things lead to workforce. It is it has moved out of being a second-class citizen within systems, and it's a first-class citizen, and it has to be respected for that. But even faculty, the idea of there's an idea of getting a job, but the idea of having an apprenticeship that helps you get the job is still not there. And so we have faculty across our system that they'll do all of the pre-work relative to training, but they don't see it as their job to facilitate the apprenticeship and the job. They still haven't gotten there yet. That's part of our responsibility. Anyway, so thank you.
Well, I'm just going to say, I think we're actually really lucky with the incredible faculty team that we have.
I know.
Because I think there is a hunger and an excitement, and
Yes.
they're already moving in the direction of really thinking about and exploring these, not just in a silo, but in the context of how it touches the learner experience. And I think that's universally true across
Because
across
we're
the
talking
college.
to students, and they're telling us how important it is. So thank you. Thank you.
I feel like I'm watching a podcast. It's very exciting. Member Perry, Trustee Perry, Vice President Perry, do you have any questions? Okay.
I think this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have just a quick question for Marissa. So I think it's really important that these kinds of opportunities are stacking versus sequential. If we're going to make the learners and focus on economic mobility, then their education itself has to be economically viable. So my question is around the stipend. Is the stipend for participation in the pilot, in the project, or is it a stipend associated with these internships? And then are they going to come back and deliver all their findings to you in some kind of way? Like, could you talk a little bit more about the expectations from the learners participating?
Yeah, so for Career Bridge, there are many different ways to do the work-based learning. We have a partnership with Ripen that's embedded in our academic program. This, with Career Bridge, is for those who have completed their program with us. So they are now connecting what they learned to the employment context, and they are each they get $1,000 to participate for participating in their 2 to 6 week length projects in teams of 5. It's about 40 individual hours of work, and the teams have some asynchronous sessions, like between employers and learners, and then students engage in roles and collaborate and meet over the duration. So that 1,000 stipend supports them engaging in the work, in that paid experience, doing those projects with and for employers. But we are also instrumenting it to learn from what was that experience? What was the experience for the students? What was the experience for the employers? What did they focus on? Our previous ones focused in cybersecurity, data analytics, and HR, with projects focused on data analytics and reporting, vulnerability assessments in IT, HR talent initiatives, and things like that. So they're doing actual work, and that's what they're getting paid for. But we've put in that research layer to be able to follow them, to learn from their experiences, to see what worked for them, what didn't. What did they generate? How is this? And oftentimes they are getting feedback that connects to their LinkedIn page. So then they've got validated references within the space. And so trying to structure these engagements in ways that build both the learning as well as that connection to subsequent employment. I don't know if that gets, but so we are capturing that throughout the process, but that is what the payment is intended to support.
It's an incredibly valuable set of data. Thank you very much. Any other questions from our board? All right, hearing none. Liaison Lucas, any questions from the public?
There is no public comment.
All right, motion and a second, please.
I'll move.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you, trustees. Liaison Lucas, may I have the roll, please?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry.
Enthusiastic, aye.
3 approved, 0 opposed, motion passes.
Thank you very much, Liaison Lucas. We are moving swiftly to item 5.1, which is the 2026 Legislative and Budget Update. I will pass that one to our VP of Government Relations, Jenny Johnson. Jenny, is your microphone on?
It
Thank
is
you.
now. Good morning, Jenny Johnson, Vice President of Government Relations. It's good to be with all of you this morning. I'm pleased to report that Calbright College achieved one of its highest legislative priorities this year, actually multi-year, by securing full funding in the 2026-27 budget. With the governor's signature, the college received $38.1 million in additional ongoing support, bringing Calbright's annual base funding to $53.1 million. As President Menon shared, this investment provides long-term financial stability to our college and reflects the confidence that Governor Newsom, our state legislature, and our regional partners, what they have in our Calbright's mission and believe in us, in our impact and in our California's workforce. This outcome was the result of a coordinated multi-year advocacy strategy and would not have been possible without President Menon's leadership, the leadership of this board, many of whom have been here the entire time. Calbright started, the governor's administration, the state legislature, the chancellor's office, college leadership, faculty, staff, students, and our many, many external partners and advocates. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my team as well as my colleagues for all of their time and leadership put forth on this advocacy campaign. While I'm in front of you today, there's so much that goes behind the scene, many phone calls, many questions, colleagues that are here answering questions on research and advocacy, and did I get the data point right? I'm just the person that's up in front of you today. And while this marks a significant milestone, our work is far from complete. The enacted budget includes accompanying trailer bill language that establishes important implementation requirements and accountability measures. These include the Chancellor's Office developing and reporting out on recommendations for CBE funding models, including Calbright College. The Chancellor's Office has been directed to convene a work group of experts, including experts in CBE models, state funding models, workforce program funding models, cost-based models, alternate funding models such as subscription-based models, and enrollment funding to support the Chancellor's Office in developing its recommendations. The Chancellor's Office is tasked with submitting their recommendations to the Joint Legislative Budget Committee and the Department of Finance by October 1st, 2028, so we've got 2 years. Of course, they will be providing regular updates to the Legislative Analyst's Office and the Department of Finance throughout this process. So over the coming months, we will work closely again with college leadership, the Chancellor's Office, legislative staff, and the administration to ensure successful implementation of these provisions while continuing to strengthen relationships with policymakers and position Calbright for future opportunities. Receiving this funding is an important achievement, and we are all thrilled. But our success will ultimately be measured by how effectively we implement this investment, demonstrate measurable outcomes, and continue earning the confidence of the state of California. This is what our hardworking students deserve. We look forward to keeping the board informed as implementation progresses and as we continue advancing Calbright's strategic priorities. This concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. The budget helps us to keep the students at the center, and I think it's so important to realize we are now in a different chapter. And we've all been collectively, very tense, holding in our breath, and this just marks the second phase of Calbright, as you so beautifully said in your opening remarks, President Menon. So congratulations. We did a lot of clapping in the Board of Governors meeting yesterday, and I don't see how we don't do one now. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Board, any other comments for Jenny?
Yeah. I just want to, yes, huge applause to you and the staff. Well, some of us were here for the whole, on the continuum, and we know well. There were a lot of bumps in the road, and you all moved over those bumps with grace and fortitude. And it is really nice to see the work that you did recognized, the work of Calbright recognized, And Calbright, I think, finally in a place where its value is understood and its value will continue. So I'm just, big shout out to all of you, to our president, to the trustees, to all of you on the staff who worked so hard. This was not easy, and I think there was a lot of long nights and broken pencils, not anymore, we don't do that. But really and truly, it's an overused term, but it's a milestone and one that you all made happen. And your persistence, what is that? There's some famous woman that said she persisted. I hand that over to you too. Thank you.
I just do, I want to add something. You know, there is a phrase that's been used over the last several years, especially around trying to make change or building something new, and it's about breaking eggs. Sometimes you have to break eggs to get it done. We really haven't had to break eggs. And that, we've had to think differently. We've had to move differently, but we haven't really had to break eggs. And I think in no small part to the team, to our leadership, you, but also to the team that you have built. That's right. And so that's something new. Now, that's not to say that in the future that might happen, for whatever reason, but it's notable. We have changed the trajectory, not just for the state of California and what has been built here today, and as we move forward. The nation has been looking at us sometimes even more from the outside world than from the inside world. So Californians will have to catch up, but we are doing all of the right moves, all of the right things, for all of the right reasons. And you've kept that, your staff, your team has kept that at the forefront. Why we are doing this work, because I think that's the only reason why we are here today. We've kept our eye on the prize, and the prize are the Californians that need this kind of educational and training support and option. So again, thank you.
Absolutely. I think this achieving this milestone took a lot out of the team. It took a lot out of all of us, and it was something that we just poured our all into because we believe so much in what Calbright's doing. And even with the need to rejuvenate and replenish those energy stashes, there's so much passion and energy about the next phase because there's just this frontier that is begging to be evaluated and built and innovated upon and looked at. And I think that kind of energy is what will sustain us through this next chapter. So kudos, congratulations. So many rounds of applause to you and your team. It's just absolutely incredible. Any public comment, Liaison Lucas?
There is no public comment.
Great, thank you very much, and congratulations again. The next item is 5.2, reports on contracts and purchases. I will pass that one to our CFO, Ed Lee.
All right, good morning, board and members of the public. My name is Edward Lee, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Calvert College. I'm here to provide the standard monthly report for contracts and purchase activity. These include the expenditures and contracts from the month of June. Attachments to the agenda include the contracts report for June, which includes 4 agreements, and the purchase list total from the prior month is $973,000. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions from Ed Board? All right, hearing none. Liaison Lucas, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
All right, Section 6 is our constituency group reports. 6.1 is the Calbright Academic Senate report, and there's no report there. 6.2 is the Calbright Faculty Association report, and there's no report there. 6.3 is the California School Employees Association, and for that I pass it to Maria Reynoso.
Thank you, everyone. I'm still getting used to the technology aspect. But thank you for having me. Good afternoon, members of the Calbright College Board of Trustees. I deliver this report with a mixed sense of sadness and hopefulness. Of the 55 initial layoff notices, 31 have been rescinded. While that is wonderful news, there is still a cloud looming overhead. 24 of our members are no longer here. It's been several weeks without them. The heaviness is all around. Things have returned to business as usual under the guise of student support above all things. But this is where I ask the board, could you continue on if one or all but one of your colleagues were gone? Could you show up as your best self at a time like this? And while I know our classified staff here is incredibly passionate about students and their support for them has never wavered, I ask the board to think about how you will hold this college accountable. Because this weight is felt across classified. And if it's felt across the administration, they have done a poor job at humanizing themselves and a poor job at instilling care into the workplace. I am in this role as the new chapter president because the majority of our e-board members were laid off. I am here because there is a void to fill and a duty to uphold. And many of our members now feel this absence, this emptiness. You have taken a piece away from us. And in the midst of this loss, you have asked several of our members to complete what you could not. Asking our members to remove staff access, removing staff listings, all a part of the job, all seemingly routine. But what you don't seem to understand is the mental gymnastics of being asked to do this with no check-ins, apologies, or addressing the conflicting emotions this is creating. From the words of Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. It is my hope to reclaim this pain and this hurt and work towards something better. I am proud of being a classified worker and proud of both our remaining classified members and those who were forced out. We have held our heads high during this time of uncertainty and loss. We have walked this path graciously and honorably. Those who remain are down, but not out. And I ask the board to continuously question our structure, question our bottlenecks, question our pain points. Because while 31 people are back in their roles, core structural issues still exist. We are a reflection of who has built us, and right now it feels like our infrastructure is built out of bubblegum and shoestring. Thank you for your continuous support, and I look forward to deepening our relationships and rebuilding our trust so this does not happen again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report, Maria. Let's hear from the Associated Students of Calbright College next in item 6.4, Iman Nukyanzi on behalf of Cole Kindred. Imani, I keep on butchering your name, please, so please correct me.
You're good. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Good morning, President Agrenado, members of Board of Trustee, Executive Committee, and all other protocols observed. I'm here to present the ACC constituency report for this month on behalf of the ACC President Paul Kinrad. My name is Imani Nachanzi, and I'm honored to continue serving as the 2026 Vice President of Associated Students of Calbright College. I remain grateful for the trust placed in me by the Calbright students, body, and committed to leading with transparency, structure, and measurable student impact. Throughout the spring and the early summer terms, Associated Students of Calbright College has continued gathering information, feedback through students' engagement activities, Slack discussions, meetings, events, and direct conversations with students. Several constituency themes have emerged from these interactions. Students have expressed interest in expanded career networking opportunities, increased workforce development resources, greater visibility of academic support services, improved awareness of accessibility accommodations, and clear communication regarding available college resources. Students have also indicated a desire for additional opportunities to participate in leadership, engagement, and community building activities. These recurring themes continue to inform ASCC planning efforts and will help guide future advocacy initiatives, programs, decisions, and student support strategies. Technology remains central to the students' experience of Calbright College. As educational institutions across the country continue responding to evolving cybersecurity threats, ASCC recognizes the importance of promoting awareness and responsible digital practices. Recent cyber incidents affect educational technology providers have reinforced the importance of protecting students' information, practicing good digital security habits, and maintaining awareness of emerging online threats. ASCC leadership has encouraged officers and student leaders to remain informed regarding cybersecurity best practices, including password security, multiple-factor authentications, and responsibility use of institutional technology systems. ASCC will continue supporting efforts that promote a safe, secure, and accessible online learning environment for all students. Accessibility for foundational priority for ASCC. Accessibility remains a foundational priority for ASCC. Efforts to support neurodivergent students, students with disability, and students with diverse background continue to be integrated throughout programming, communications, and student engagement activities. The success of Autism 101 and the continued development of the Include Club, demonstrating growing interest in creating supportive spaces where students can connect, share experiences, build confidence, and strengthen self-advocacy skills. ASCC remains committed to fostering a culture where all students feel welcomed, respected, supported, and empowered to succeed. ASCC continues in strengthening internal system designed to support long-term organization. Throughout the year have included governance improvements, enhanced reporting processes, leadership development initiatives, communication planning, and increased collaborations among officers and advisors. These improvements are intended to not only support current operations, but also to create stronger foundations for future students, leaders, and future ACC administrations. Looking ahead as ACC moves further into summer term and beginning to plan for the upcoming academic year, leadership remains focused on creating meaningful opportunities for students' engagement, strengthening governance practices, expanding communication efforts, supporting accessibility initiatives, and maintaining strong culture of students' representation. The organization remains committed to ensuring that every student feels informed, connected, supported, and represented as Calbright College continues its mission in expanding education opportunities for adult learners throughout California. Thank you for your continued support of students' leadership and a vital role in strengthening Calbright College experiences. And that was all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Imane, for your report. We'll move next to public forum. Liaison Lucas, are there any members of the public who wish to be heard?
There are no members of the public that wish to be heard.
That means we've reached the end of our meeting. The business of the Board of Trustees is now complete and we can adjourn. Thank you for your participation. It's 11:09.